Welcome to Rise Up in Business, the law podcast for small business owners. This podcast is designed to share important legal information without the stuffy legal jargon. I'm Tracy Milacrane. Let's get into today's episode. Hello everyone, welcome back to the podcast. I'm joined by a very dear friend of mine today who is a mentor to service-based and creative business owners, and that is Kate Addamo. This is Kate's third time on the podcast, and I love having her on because we have such fabulous conversations, which shares so much gold for business owners, and I know this because of the feedback that I get. And I've invited Kate on today to talk about rebranding in business because this is something that I've been hearing a lot about from my clients lately. And I know that this is something that Kate works intimately on with her clients. So there's a bit of a process and a journey attached to the rebrand, and how do you know when it's time to rebrand, and should I rebrand or should I keep putting off the rebrand? So there's lots to unpack. And Kate recently has undergone a rebrand of her own business. And being as close to her as I am, I was privy to the inner workings of her brain and her thinking and what she was doing. And it was a really unique and authentic path that she took for this rebrand. And I found it really inspiring. So I do think you're going to love this conversation with Kate. Let's dive in, and I'll come back here with you at the end. Kate, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Tracy.
Oh, it's always such a pleasure. You are the only guest that I've had on the podcast 3 times, and that's not to say this will be the last. It most certainly will not.
Probably not, because we do love our chats, and I'm very grateful to be back here again. I'm very honoured to be the first one to make it to 3.
I love it. Kate, what I really want to talk about today is in all of the work you do with your beautiful clients, I know that you support women in such a variety of ways. And you and I spent a little time talking about financials recently and your fabulous financial spreadsheet that you have on your website, which I've since purchased and downloaded and introduced into my business. Game changer. We're not going to talk about financials today, but the breadth of what you do is so far and wide. What I really want to hone in today and talk about is rebranding and the power of a rebrand, and why a rebrand becomes necessary, and how women sometimes don't even realize it's time for a rebrand. But for context for my audience, I just want to let everybody know that you've recently rebranded, and you rebranded this time in such a powerful, authentic, aligned way. And they're not cliche words, because I was talking to you throughout that rebrand. And I think I said to you very early on, as soon as I saw it, Kate, this just feels like a coming home. It really does, the power of what you've done. So can you just share a little bit about your rebrand story, and then let's just dive into the work you do with business owners when it's time to rebrand? Because I think there'll be so many listeners that'll get so many nuggets of gold from this, and they'll be wondering, am I aligned? Do I need to rebrand? But let's just go back and talk a little bit about your rebranding story this time.
Yeah, thank you, Tracy. This one was really unique because I've been in business, it'll be 8 years in December, and I think this might be the 3rd or 4th rebrand, or there's been like tweaks or iterations to it, not full rebrands. And this one came about very organically. There was nothing forced about it. I had an idea that I wanted to tweak some things. A couple of things weren't landing. I think I'd outgrown the website. I was in a very different place when I did that website. My mum had just passed, and I think I was in a different headspace, and I knew I had grown and evolved so much. So it was time for my website and my brand to match that evolution, and for this next chapter that I'm now ready to step into. And it was such an organic, I sort of met with someone to help support me with some messaging and some evolution of my business. And it turns out she actually came up with a bit of a concept, which I didn't know was part of it, for some visuals. We explored that and played with it together. And then I took it a step further and said, I think I actually want to create my own website this time, which is very strange. I have very little tech skills. Got my head around Canva now, but to use Show It, I thought, okay, I've tweaked a few things, but I really just persevered with it. And it was one of the best experiences that I've had, because I felt like I had this creative control. And this is not to say that, there are so many beautiful web and brand designers out there who do an incredible job. And I did have one of them do a VIP day to tweak this and bring it to life as a brand. But I felt really comfortable, because I've done so much work on myself and really knowing who I am, to really just fully speak from the heart, to create it, to add the canvases in myself and the slides and move it around and add the photos and just really bring it to life. And I've got a photo shoot coming up in, I think, October, and I'm creative directing that at the moment with outfits and the props and the location with just another level of creative direction because I just really know what I want this to look like. I don't feel like I have to outsource that. I'm so connected to myself and where I'm going that this is just flowing with so much ease. To the fact that I can't turn the ideas off at the moment, I feel really excited by my brand. And I think that's not something I see women feeling all the time. It's like, well, what do I post and what do I share? Whereas when you really know who you are and who you want to help, everything just changes.
And you've just said something, Kate, that goes against the grain of everything that we hear on socials and in all of the places, which is outsource everything. But you've just brought it all home. And I know that you did the copy tweaking yourself. And throughout the process when we were talking, you were so anchored to your why and your purpose that it all just came naturally and it just flowed. What I want to shine a light on here is, yes, there's power in outsourcing for the web design and the graphic design and the brand design and the copywriting and the creative direction and the photo shoots. There's power in outsourcing all of that. But sometimes it's actually okay to give yourself permission to hold on to some of it because no one knows your brand like you do.
Absolutely. And I'm also the queen of outsourcing for things that, aren't my power and aren't my strength. And my beautiful team definitely helped me with some of the tech things. Like I don't know how to connect the Flowdesk links and the that to that. I don't know. I'm not even going to try and entertain that because that would just be a waste of my time and energy. So I get the people who know how to do those things. And I think for some people, like not everyone's going to be able to do this. Not everybody has the creative eye or has an interest or a strength in it. Like I know
I don't.
I wouldn't imagine a lawyer be interested in, picking colors and fonts, but it's something that comes naturally. And I have really just designed and curated my life, like my wardrobe, the capsule wardrobe, my home, my business, my brand. And I just want it to be an extension of that, which is why there's so many florals and the pinstripe and all of those things that are uniquely me. Like there's pinstripes all around my house, there's florals and there's plants in the background here. I love that. That's who I am. But I think it brings a beautiful strength and softness with the masculine and feminine. I love those feminine elements of the brand, but I also am a girl that, this Tracy loves a spreadsheet and loves a tight process and just boundaries and all of those things. And I think there's a beautiful sort of, connection with the two.
Thank you for sharing it that way. I know that for me, your rebranding journey has been inspiring. And I know that there's many listeners who are going to be listening to this and taking little nuggets of gold and thinking, what does that say about me and where's my brand? Let's dive in a little bit and talk about the work you do with women. I know this could go so many different ways, but you're very good at articulating to your clients, this needs to happen, we need to work on this, let's go down this path, this journey, and guess what? We need to have a conversation around a rebrand. It's time. So I really want to answer the question, how do you know when it's time for a rebrand? We've got to come a few steps back for that. So what's the process? What are you seeing? Talk to me.
For me, I can see it for a lot of clients when they first come to me, for a lot of my Flourish clients, which are established, creative and service-based business owners, when they come to me, I can see it. And some of them really desperately need it. And some just need a few tweaks, or there's some messaging misalignments, or some of the colors feel a bit dated. And some of the women just say, yeah, maybe it's something I might look at in the future. It's not something they've really entertained. And then when we go on the journey of getting them to understand their brand, where they're positioning things, their unique offering, building their confidence, understanding how they need to charge and having the process be really tight. When they start to up-level all of that, they feel more confident, they feel more connected to their offering and to their audience. It all starts to change. And from something that I've just gently mentioned a couple of times and maybe almost planted the seed, they're then coming back to me and going, I think I need to rebrand, Kate. I know, welcome. But it's really beautiful. But I don't sort of want to force that on them. I want them, like it's up to the woman. I want them to reach that place themselves of just being ready and knowing. And then I want to guide them with that of what some of the visuals and the message. And I've sat down a few times with clients on Pinterest and color palettes, and we've really started to develop something together and start some strategy and some messaging to then hand that over to a brand designer for it to be even better, rather than just going to a brand designer and saying, hey, I need to rebrand, it's a bit dated. They have more of a story and a purpose and clarity and vision of who they want to be. So it becomes even not easier, I guess, for the brand designer, but also it's got a chance to go even deeper because we've done that first layer And there's such a trust between, myself and my beautiful client that we've been able to go that bit deeper and I really know them. So when we hand that over, it's already at a different level. It's a very cool experience.
Wow, it sounds it. So where does it start though? So give me 2 things that you would say are big signs for you that you can pick up on straight away to start having conversations with women to support them on that journey. Is it pricing? Is it the way they talk about their offer? What is it that you can identify really easily so that listeners are going to be able to go and look at that in their own business and say, oh, okay, that's not in alignment, or Kate mentioned that's not working. What would it be?
I think a big part of it comes down to pricing and the confidence there, because I think there's so much focus on the service offering or that creative business and not of the running of the business and charging what you think you should charge rather than charging what it actually should be. And there's a post that I've actually, mentally written but haven't physically shared on social media lately that I'm going to do the next week before this comes out, is that I don't want women to charge their worth. I want them to charge like they run a business. Because when we talk to women about charging their worth, that's the worst thing that we could tie to for a woman, because so many of them have people pleasing, issues with their own worth, and they don't feel good. So if we tell a woman to charge her worth, of course she's going to undercharge because that's all she feels like she's worth. So I probably said it years ago too, but now I've just been thinking about it. It came to me with a client last week. I just said, you need to charge like you run a business, because she was struggling to pay herself. She was struggling to charge to that next level. She had years of experience in a high-level job that she had studied to get to, a high-level business. And when we really looked at what she wanted to earn, all of her business expenses, the tax, and how she wanted to grow and to fund the rebrand, she really then understood what she needed to charge and how she was undercharging. So it was a real journey of understanding sales and expenses, and then understanding the cash flow, and then understanding what she needs to make to charge that, and where the gaps have been in the process, where she's being burnt out, where people are dragging things out. And when you just close all of those little gaps and loops, and the woman becomes really confident to run all of those things in a really succinct way, then she just sees her brand and her business differently. And then she's ready for the brand to elevate to match that new level of her. But we had to get her to that level to see that needed to happen, to now continue to bring in the clients at that price level for it to match them, and for that visual to be something that draws them in.
So that's a journey you've described. And what I've taken away are 2 big things. One, the journey of stepping into confidence, but also clarity.
Huge.
Clarity of the offerings, their why, and what they ultimately want to achieve. I love that you've just reframed the charging. Don't charge your worth, charge like you're running a business. Because that, again, here we are going against the grain of all the things today, which is not uncommon for us. We hear it so often and we see it in social media, and there's so much noise. Charge your worth, you're undercharging, charge your worth. And that's right. How do you know what your worth is? It's so open-ended. I've never liked that question. Charge like you're running a business. And you can only do that if you have absolute crystal clear clarity on your offerings, your end in mind, what you want to achieve, and your objectives. And you mentioned paying yourself. And you and I talk about this a lot with clients, not charging enough to be able to pay yourself consistently. That's not a business. And I've said this, it was a little polarizing when I said it on social media, but sometimes we need to be honest with ourselves and just accept the fact that we're running a hobby, not a business, and stepping up. And so I suppose for many people, the branding starting out, we just put something together, wasn't quite sure how this would go, didn't know how it would land. But guess what? I've been so busy in all the doing, 2, 3, 4 years have passed, and I have not had time to take a breath to even think about my brand. And that then can lead somebody to be in that position where, guess what? It's time to think about a rebrand to either realign or recalibrate so that the brand is representative of where you are now as a business owner. The other thing, Kate, that clients share with me, and I know that they share with you, is I want more clients. I want more aligned clients. I want to show up in a different way to attract a different type of client. I'm feeling burnt out. What I've seen over the years, and talk to me about this, is when the brand doesn't align with where the business owner's at, they'll be attracting the wrong sort of client. So talk to me about that and the representation of where the business is at in order to magnetize those dream clients.
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of avenues with that one, Tracy, and one that sort of comes in. The first thing is, I think when we're not charging enough, we're always going to get the wrong clients. And those lower end clients are usually the most exhausting, the least respectful of your process and journey, and they're going to burn you out. So it is so important to take the time to really reflect on that. And I think so many people don't. They just get so caught up in the service offering or that creative offering, and they're head down in that, and they think that that's running a business. No, that's serving your client. Running a business is a very different thing. And it's imperative that you take the time to do that. Something I do every year, and I'm always refining and taking time for that. This is why I go on retreats, to step away from life and have a look at things. You always come back with fresh ideas. But I think one of the biggest issues, I was just going to say before, Tracy, is when it does come to that rebrand journey, so many women think they can't afford it. So they put it off and they just go, it's something I'll do one day. And it becomes a one day for so many women until you teach them how. And that's why this Inflow to Grow, the cash flow spreadsheet, has been so helpful, because there's a few clients that we've worked through this and they know, say, if they want to come to you and get new contracts because they want to upgrade and they don't have a privacy policy in their website or something, which is terrifying, or client staff contracts or agreements. It's okay, we want to upgrade these things with Tracy, and maybe we want to get Dubsado, or we want to get a rebrand or a website done. We put those through the spreadsheet each month, and maybe it's in 3 months or 2 months or in 6 months for the rebrand, but we've got the allocation there and they know what they're working towards, and they're bringing the income in to cover that, and so they can see a path towards that. So again, it comes down to the clarity, and when we don't know and we're just flying blind, we are missing out on so many opportunities that we potentially could have rebranded 6 months ago, got our contracts done, paid ourselves an extra $1,000 or $2 a month. But because we didn't know, we're stuck in that I can't. And that stagnation isn't going to bring you those aligned clients or that abundant business that's going to continue to grow.
Oh, I love that, Kate. You've just touched on so many things. It's a trap, isn't it? I'll get to it one day. It's not important right now. Make it happen, prioritize it, make it happen. There's so much there that you've just touched on that I know is going to resonate so deeply. And again, the cash flow spreadsheet that's on your website, if anyone listening to this doesn't have a cash flow projection spreadsheet, go and check this out. I've always had a spreadsheet. It was a bit agricultural, to be honest. Then I got yours, and I've actually implemented it at home as well. So I've got two, one for the business and one for home. And I got so excited about it. It's been fabulous. It's such a game changer. So check that out. Before we finish up, Kate, I just want to talk a little bit about your Aligned Woman program, because I know the doors have closed now, but you will be running it again. And I know, because I'm going to ask you to put a wait list there, because so many people have spoken to me about wanting to do it, but the time wasn't right. Talk about that though, because it needs to be shared, because I've known you for so many years and I know the value that's in this program.
Thank you, Tracy. It's honestly, like, I've been mentoring nearly 8 years, and it's one of the most profound and best things, aside from my retreats, which are in person. So that is amazing at a whole other level. But to go on this journey, it was 3, now 4 months with a beautiful tight-knit container of women. And I'm so grateful my business always attracts just really beautiful women who just want to support each other. And that's something a lot of women in business don't have. Their friends and family don't understand it. They don't get it. So it's such just a relief to turn up with women who get it and to be really vulnerable. But it's a really beautiful, unique experience where we're building the woman up and her confidence and the way that she takes care of herself, her vision in her life. And when we get really clear on her vision, she starts to put better boundaries in place. She starts to charge differently. She just starts to raise the standard in everything. And at home, the way she dresses, the way she shows up. We go into human design, how that impacts in business. We do a lot about our environment, our health, our home, low tox living. So many open conversations about women's health. We have a naturopath join. I think 6 of the women last time booked in with her because they were so blown away from just conversations they'd had with their GPs or being turned away. And they just felt so seen and heard in that they are now on their journey. One's gone off anti-anxiety medication. A couple of having much better relationships with their twin daughters now because of the experience, and they're more present. And one of them even said, "Mum, you're a cool mum now," which blew her away. And she just hadn't ever heard that from her daughter because she had just been not present in anything. And I think there's a presence. There's been the women that did the first round said they just feel so much more permission to live life on their terms. Some have sold bigger houses because it felt like it was keeping up with the Joneses, to take pressure off, to change the business structure, to just have more space. So the first round just started actually 2 days ago, and it was such a beautiful experience of the women just holding and supporting each other and wanting to be better together. And it's such a different experience when women come together. I can have these conversations one-on-one and they get it, but it's not until women come together, as we're supposed to. Women did for centuries to come together, and now we're, so solo. that it's almost like one woman gives the other one permission and they all start rising together and they level up together with their confidence. And it's the most amazing thing to witness. Like, honestly, I feel so grateful to be able to do that and call that, my job.
It's so nourishing for the soul is how I would describe it. There's so much to it. And as I've shared on here so many times, I went to one of your in-person retreats and it changed my life and the way I view so many things. But I love also that it's for the whole woman and it's not just business and it's not just personal. It's both, because we are a whole person across all the things. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to put the link to that in the show notes, so if anyone wants to check that out, because I think this is going to be an episode that we will refer back to, Kate. Certainly I will, because there's so much value here. And I think this is just a little insight into what it's like to know you, to work with you, to connect with you, to follow you. And if anybody doesn't follow Kate, please do go and jump over onto Instagram and follow Kate, and we'll put the details in the show notes. But for those driving and listening, Kate, can you just share your handle and your website?
Yeah, so the website is kateaddamo.com, and I recently changed the handle to Kate Addamo Mentor. My podcast is currently on pause, but it'll be coming back in a couple of months' time, all going well. So keep an eye out for that one. But yes, Tracy, thank you. It's about the whole woman for me, not just one part, because it's all so important. We've got to look at it holistically.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you so much for joining me for our third episode.
Thank you for having me.
My goodness, I love having conversations with Kate, and I'm sure you can see why. We are so connected on so many levels, and she's so generous in the value she shares, both in terms of her own journey and things that she works on with her clients. We will put all of the links in the show notes so you can track Kate down on her website and over on Instagram. And if our conversation around Kate's Aligned Woman program resonated, the link for that one will be in the show notes as well. Definitely worth taking a look. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I will catch you next time.